Human beings once lived in harmony with nature, connected to their environments, using what they needed to survive and thrive, mindful of the planet's delicate balance. Today, with a global population of 7.7 billion people, our appetite for consumer goods, comfort, and convenience has moved us further and further from that critical sense of balance. Humans take from the earth at a frenzied rate without replenishing. We contaminate without cleaning up, and we profoundly alter the very climate on which we depend for survival. The Goldman Environmental Prize is part of a global community that doesn't accept that ecological self-destruction is inevitable. Our community of environmental defenders is vast, rising in every part of the world and growing, and we are not afraid. We continue to push back against greed, protect the earth and its climate, and restore the balance with nature. Now is the time. It will take all of us. Welcome to the 2021 Goldman Environmental Prize.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and I'm delighted to welcome you all to the 2021 Goldman Environmental Prize ceremony. Tonight, our global community is gathering virtually to honor 6 formidable environmental champions who put themselves on the line to protect the planet. As you listen to the words of our prize winners, I'm sure that you'll join me in feeling overcome with respect and awe at what they've each done. But please also remember that you too can be a hero like tonight's winners. This is something we all need to do in whatever way we can. The climate crisis is no longer something remote or distant. It's right here and now, impacting our climate, our water, our food, our health, and our economies, not to mention the future of entire ecosystems on which we depend. Whatever we've done until now to address the climate crisis has to be just the on-ramp of what we do going forward. We must step up higher than ever, speak up louder than ever, and demand that our elected officials and business leaders act commensurate with what science demands. And at this point in history, this means embracing a speedy and ambitious transition from fossil fuels and toward clean, renewable energy. You know, it was the young student climate strikers in 2019 who truly woke me up to the urgency of the crisis. It was Greta Thunberg who inspired me to pay much closer attention to what science was saying. These young people got me to move to Washington, D.C. for 4 months to start my weekly Fire Drill Fridays, where we engaged in civil disobedience and risked arrest. The actions were aimed at the 25 million Americans who are alarmed about the climate crisis but haven't yet taken action because no one's asked them. I call them the great unasked. Well, we are asking them, and they are responding. And we've continued virtually for the last 15 months of the pandemic. We need everyone to rise up to meet this civilizational challenge. Ecological destruction is far from inevitable. It takes all of us here to commit ourselves to change. The Goldman Environmental Prize was founded in 1989 by Richard and Rhoda Goldman as a way to honor and support unsung grassroots heroes of the environment and inspire the rest of us to take action. These leaders are the future, and with our growing environmental movement around the world, it can be a bright future. Tonight, in addition to meeting 6 individuals who are changing the world, we will hear from the phenomenal Lenny Kravitz, world-renowned Senegalese singer Baaba Maal, climate activist Vanessa Nakate, and the wonderful Ndlovu Youth Choir from South Africa. I'm also very pleased to announce that for the first time this year, Sigourney Weaver will be narrating the short films about the prize winners, which you're going to get to see shortly. And now I'm delighted to introduce Richard and Rhoda's daughter, Susie Gelman, who serves on the board of the Goldman Environmental Foundation.
Thank you so much, Jane, for honoring us by serving as MC of this year's prize ceremony. On behalf of the Goldman family, including my brother John and my niece Jennifer, we welcome you and thank you for joining us this evening. The challenges of 2020 and 2021 have felt overwhelming for humanity. From a global pandemic, the likes of which we have not seen in 100 years, to a climate emergency that threatens our quality of life, to the struggles for social justice around the world and in our own country, the current global crises have never felt more ubiquitous or more oppressive. But as Jane noted, there is hope. Here in the United States, after 4 long years of despair, we're finally making important strides in protecting our environment and fighting climate change. At the same time, the global community of grassroots environmental activists, leaders, thinkers, and philanthropists is only growing and becoming more sophisticated, more united, more powerful. Tonight's prize winners have so much to teach us about the path forward and how to maintain the balance with nature that is the key to our survival. They show us that we cannot greedily take, pillage, and destroy the land, water, and air without grave consequences. We cannot reclaim wilderness or indigenous lands without losing the very solutions to our challenges. We cannot dehumanize and destroy communities without losing our own humanity. Indeed, the COVID-19 pandemic is a profound reminder of what happens when humans fall out of balance with nature. The Goldman Prize winners you will meet today exemplify the notion that each and every one of us has a role in healing, repairing, and restoring the earth. These phenomenal environmental champions remind us of what can be accomplished when we fight back and refuse to accept powerlessness and environmental degradation. They have not been silenced, despite great risks and personal hardship, and we also must not be silent. It takes all of us to be the change we want to see in the world. So on behalf of our family, we're proud to continue this important work with you, and we thank you for celebrating the 2021 Goldman Prize winners with us.
Good evening. I'm Sigourney Weaver, and I am honored to introduce you to the winners of the 2021 Goldman Environmental Prize.
When I was growing up as a little girl, we lived the American dream, and we lived off the land. And we had clean air, clean water, and everything was so wonderful, and we weren't sick.
St. James Parish sits on both sides of the Mississippi River, protected by the same levees that failed New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina. But other forces have threatened the community for generations. Sharon Levine was one of the first to call attention to the issue.
But 3 or 4 years ago, I lost my neighbor on my right side, and I lost a neighbor on my left side, both from cancer. These industries are poisoning our air, they're poisoning our water.
With over 150 petrochemical plants along an 80-mile stretch of the river, the region has among the highest concentrations of toxic chemicals in the United States. And the predominantly African American community has cancer rates 50 times higher than the national average, lending the area the morbid nickname Cancer Alley.
We were going to the help meetings.
I have grandchildren that are sick right now.
We'd live in anger and despair and hopelessness. And so we were angry inside, just angry, roaring.
Sharon didn't have experience as an activist, but in November 2018, when the Chinese chemical company Wanhua proposed construction of a plastics plant in St. James Parish. She mobilized her neighbors against it.
We had almost 20 people in the garage. I'm sitting up there directing the meeting, didn't know what in the world I was doing. The more they said there was no hope, the more something inside of me riled up. This project will have devastating effects.
Sharon decided to dedicate herself to working full-time for environmental justice. She founded Rise St. James and soon proved herself to be a natural leader.
We get the word out by doing media work on the radio. Billboards, flyers, ads in the newspaper, letters to the parish council members. We do a lot of education to the public.
Thanks to the intense grassroots campaign that Rise St. James carried out, Wanhua halted construction of the $1.25 billion plastics plant in September 2019.
And we were so happy and excited when the parish council would not accept their application. The people in the community spoke up. That was victory to me.
That victory helped prevent the generation of 1 million pounds of liquid hazardous waste each year and protected residents from additional air and water pollution. But before Rise could hit pause, Formosa Plastics, a Taiwan-based corporation, announced its plan to build a factory a mile from Sharon's home.
We're going to stop Formosa. I don't care what nobody say. The governor, anyone. I'm not afraid. God told me Formosa's not going to do that to us.
For outstanding environmental achievement for North America, the 2021 Goldman Environmental Prize is awarded to Sharon Levine, St. James Parish, Louisiana.
My name is Sharon Levine, and I live in St. James, Louisiana. I just want to thank you for this prestigious award in our fight against Formosa Plastics that's trying to be built in my community. As you can see, this is where I live, and this is the water that's being polluted. The water, the land, and the soil is being polluted in my community. I want to thank you for recognizing me for this prestigious award so we can continue our fight for environmental justice. I want to let you know that God said, "A thief comes only to steal and slaughter and destroy." Formosa Plastics is that thief. But God said to St. James citizens, "I came so that you may have life and have it more abundantly." Formosa is not coming here to destroy our community because our fight will continue with your help. Thank you.
In the remote northeast corner of Peru lie millions of acres of pristine Amazon rainforest. It is one of the most biodiverse ecosystems on the planet. 29 indigenous communities live along the surrounding borders of this area. They consider the rivers and land sacred.
Somos los guardianes del bosque.
We are the guardians of the forest because we have cared for it since the time of our ancestors. It sustains us and gives us life.
Liz Chikahe Churai, a leader of the indigenous Bora community, has spent over 20 years fighting the encroachment of illegal gold mining, logging, and overfishing. But protecting this vast area has been challenging.
¿Por qué la importancia del medio ambiente?
Why the importance of the environment and forests? We found that many government leaders really disagreed with taking care of these things, and they did not understand our reality as indigenous peoples.
De los pueblos indígenas.
Working alongside indigenous activist Benjamin Rodriguez, Liz realized that designating the area as a national park would provide the greatest protections for the environment and people. But a proposal of this magnitude would require widespread support.
Sin el consentimiento de ellos,
Without the consent of the communities, there would have been no way forward. So it was fundamental that our people get to know each other and unite together under a shared vision for this place.
Partnering with NGOs and scientists, Liz and her team worked with communities to map out the area and document its biodiversity. Through education and outreach, they organized a broad coalition of indigenous leaders that supported the creation of Yaguas National Park, but they still needed to convince lawmakers.
en las reuniones que tuvimos primero,
In the initial meetings, private interests and even the regional government opposed the idea. They wanted to negotiate, but I wasn't there to negotiate. I was there to defend the rights of indigenous peoples and natural resources.
los derechos de los pueblos indígenas y sus recursos.
So we had to go to the capital in Lima to speak with the Minister of Environment and Congress. We even traveled to Europe, where we gained the support of international partners.
After 3 years of organizing and campaigning, in 2018, Liz and her allies saw their efforts come to fruition. Peru declared the creation of Yaguas National Park, giving the highest level of protection to over 2 million acres of Amazon rainforest, while maintaining the rights of indigenous communities. Sadly, Benjamin Rodriguez, who worked alongside Liz in achieving this tremendous victory, passed away in 2020 due to COVID-19. Despite this heartbreaking loss, Liz continues to push forward.
Le gustaba compartir y era así.
He was a generous man and a fighter for the rights of the people in the forests. So my wish is to continue educating people that nature is our greatest wealth. This is my message, as we are the true caretakers of the
Cuidadores
forest.
del bosque.
For outstanding environmental achievement for South and Central America, the 2021 Goldman Environmental Prize is awarded to Liz Chikaje Churay, Loreto, Peru.
Mi nombre es Liz Chique Churay, soy natural de la comunidad Boras de Pucaurquillo, Río Ampiacu, distrito de Pebas, provincia Mariscal Ramón Castilla, región Loreto. Gracias a Goldman por reconocer nuestro trabajo en conjunto a los líderes indígenas, quienes nos enfocamos en difundir que cuán importante es cuidar los recursos, el medio ambiente y el territorio indígena. Y gracias a este premio que hoy en día nos reconoce la institución de Goldman, seguiremos trabajando en conjunto con las instituciones quienes nos vienen apoyando a los líderes indígenas para poder seguir dando este mensaje que cuán importante es cuidar nuestros recursos y los lagos y los territorios indígenas.
We have so much to learn from people on the front lines of environmental battles, and we gain so much from listening to them and putting ourselves in their shoes. And now I am thrilled to welcome Baba Mal.
I am so happy to be performing at the Goldman Environmental Prize today. It's a privilege and an honor for me. I am working with women and young people in many projects in my country, Senegal. Sustainable Living Project. And I always say to them that we need to fight against desertification, the impact of climate change, and protect our environment. This is why I write this song, Tindo, for them, women and children.
With their coat of armor and reclusive habits, pangolins do their best to avoid trouble. These scaly mammals, found in Asia and Africa, hide away in the day and spend their nights dining on ants and termites.
The
pangolin is a special species. They are harmless and shy. When threatened, they curl up in a ball to protect themselves with their hard outer scales.
But pangolins are the world's most trafficked species. It's estimated that over 1 million have been poached worldwide in the past decade. Vietnam is a particular hotspot.
Pangolins are killed for their meat as a delicacy. and for their scales to be used in traditional Chinese medicine.
Rất là nhiều các cái đồn thổi rằng
But there is no scientific evidence that their meat is nutritious or that their scales have medicinal value. Seeing the disappearance of pangolins, I felt that extinction was coming, and they could soon vanish forever.
còn cơ hội để
Determined to protect this critically endangered animal, Ty Van Nguyen founded Save Vietnam's Wildlife in 2014, a nonprofit dedicated to conservation, education, and advocacy, as well as rescue and rehabilitation.
cái thách thức lớn nhất trong cái việc bảo vệ
The biggest challenge in pangolins protection is changing the mindset and habits of the Vietnamese people.
khi mà tôi bắt đầu làm cái công
When I started working on pangolin conservation, almost no one knew anything about them.
ngoài ra thì
Now, not only do more people know about them, but they love them and want to protect them.
LGBT ở Việt Nam.
Ty then turned his attention to Vietnam's illegal pangolin trade.
Khi chúng tôi thành lập cái
So we built an anti-poaching team with the aim of assisting government agencies in strengthening law enforcement.
tăng cường cái đẩy mạnh cái thực
Ty personally trained the rangers. They patrol 330,000 acres of forest, destroying illegal camps and traps. Their work has led to an 80% decrease in illegal activities. Rehabilitating rescued pangolins is also a high priority.
sau khi cứu hộ thì chúng tôi
After rescuing pangolins, we take care of them, feed them, cure them from diseases, and then release them back into the wild.
In just a few years, Ty has brought global awareness to the pangolin's plight, becoming the face of pangolin protection worldwide. Using this influence, he helped broker an international ban on the illegal trade. But there is more work to be done. Now, with the Vietnamese government's support, Ty is developing policies that he hopes will bring pangolins back to their rightful place in the forest.
được làm việc
Working with pangolins is my greatest passion. It's a joy to dedicate myself to the restoration and protection of this wild species.
loài TT này.
For outstanding environmental achievement for Asia, the 2021 Goldman Environmental Prize is awarded to Ty Van Nguyen, Cuc Pho, Vietnam.
Hello, my name is Ty Van Nguyen. I live in Vietnam. Thank you very much for Government Environmental Prize to recognize the important work of Save Vietnam Wildlife. Also, it's our contribution for the wildlife conservation, especially for the pangolin in Vietnam. With this prize, we will use the money to building capacity for Save Vietnam Wildlife, become one of the strongest and biggest NGO working in wildlife conservation. Just thinking is not enough. Please take the action. Don't buy, don't eat, don't consume the wildlife. We can save Vietnam wildlife. Thank you very much for Government Environmental Prize to give the awards and to support for our conservation work.
When a tsunami caused the meltdown of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant in 2011, Japan was forced to shut down all of its remaining nuclear facilities. Already heavily invested in fossil fuel, policymakers and big business made the short-sighted decision to build 50 new coal plants to replace nuclear power generation.
To be honest, I was shocked. Coal power plants produce millions of tons of CO2 per year. They also emit heavy metals and air pollutants, including mercury, that endanger human health and the environment.
Kamiko Hirata, has spent over 20 years fighting for stronger climate change policy in Japan. She knew she had to act quickly. Working with her team at the Kiko Network, Kamiko launched a national public awareness campaign.
Construction plans for the new coal plants were spread across Japan, so we created a website to warn the local communities in these areas.
The website was successful in sounding the alarm, but Kamiko needed citizens to take action.
We spoke with professors, lawyers, community groups, and many others to explain the problem and enlist their support. The more people spoke out, the bigger our campaign became.
Despite strong community backing, Kamiko's growing anti-coal network struggled to get the attention of policymakers. So she worked with international partners to turn up the heat.
There was a lot of anger and protest toward Japan. This international outcry was reported by major Japanese news outlets, which helped our efforts tremendously.
Policymakers could no longer ignore the issue. Seizing the opportunity, Kamiko purchased shares of a major Japanese bank and introduced a climate resolution that won enough shareholder support to convince key companies to move away from coal. Part of Kamiko's strategy was laying out solutions to help Japan's energy industry chart a new course.
If financial institutions invest in renewable energy instead of coal, then policymakers and developers will also have to switch their focus to renewables.
3 years after launching her ambitious anti-coal campaign, Kamiko and her network of partners have so far prevented the construction of 13 new coal power plants in Japan, representing nearly 30% of the country's planned coal output. This huge victory prevents the emission of 42 million tons of CO2 per year and protects Japan's people and environment.
Having had some success gives us confidence that we can make a difference. And it gives me the courage to continue this work.
For outstanding environmental achievement for islands and island nations, the 2021 Goldman Environmental Prize is awarded to Kamiko Hirata, Tokyo, Japan.
気候ネットワークの平田公子です。この度はゴールドマン環境賞をいただき、本当にありがとうございます。日本の NGO の活動が石炭火力発電所に取り組んでいくことについて特に評価を与えてくださったことに本当に大きな意味があると思っています。気候危機が叫ばれる中、日本の企業や政府は石炭火力発電所をどんどん建設してきました。私たちはそこに問題を提起し、行動を起こすことに力を注いできました。でももっと多くの人たちの力が必要です。気候変動のような問題に取り組むのはなかなか難しいと思えるかもしれませんが、思いを持って行動すればできることはたくさんあります。今回の賞が活動の輪をもっと大きく広げることにつながるよう願っています。
One of the ways in which we can support these phenomenal leaders is to be more aware of where we put our money and investments, our consumption habits, and the values we share with our families and communities. Each of us has a role to play. And now I'm delighted to introduce Vanessa Nakate, a fierce and powerful new voice for the climate from Uganda. Vanessa will be followed by the Ndlovu Youth Choir from South Africa.
Thank you so much, Jen, and thank you to the Goldman Environmental Prize for inviting me to speak to all of you this evening. My name is Vanessa Nakate. I am a climate justice activist from Kampala, Uganda, a country that has one of the fastest changing climates in the world. In my relatively short lifetime, I have witnessed that my fellow citizens are already suffering some of the most brutal impacts fueled by the climate crisis. Historically, Africa is responsible for only 3% of global emissions. Yet in Uganda, like many countries across Africa, the climate crisis is already causing withering droughts, catastrophic floods, and devastating landslides. Many Africans have already lost their lives, while countless more have lost their homes, farms, and businesses. This is not some hypothetical situation. This is happening now. This is why I became an activist. At first, I knew only that I needed to do something. I didn't know the form it would take. I was unsure, nervous, and quite shy. I dreaded public speaking and feared how people in Kampala might react to a young woman holding a climate strike sign. But then I decided I couldn't be silent anymore. I started to strike to raise awareness of the climate crisis and to remind people that we cannot eat coal and we cannot drink oil. I also started the Green School Project, which aims to transition schools in Uganda to solar energy and install eco-friendly stoves in these schools. Everyone can do something. And as the Goldman Environmental Prize reminds us, a single person can make extraordinary change. So many people are finding a way to make a difference. What will you do?
Gloria Majiga Kamoto grew up in the pastoral lands surrounding the city of Blantyre, the commercial capital of Malawi. Small subsistence farms had traditionally been a way of life there. Early on, Gloria worked for the Center for Environmental Policy and Advocacy, where she implemented a program that provided goats to farmers as a way to help enhance their livelihoods. The program proved successful until goats began dying from ingesting plastic shopping bags, which covered the countryside.
The plastics were everywhere and everybody sees them. It was, for me, a realization that we just take so many things for granted. I've used them and I had never thought that they would actually affect life in that way.
Each year, 75,000 tons of plastic are generated in Malawi, of which 80% is single-use. Gloria was concerned about the environmental harm caused by plastic pollution and the mounting threats it posed to the country's wildlife, livestock, and subsistence farmers' livelihoods, as well as threats it posed to sanitation through congested sewage systems.
How many people will experience that kind of loss and that kind of sense of hopelessness in terms of their own livelihood because we're not able to control the situation. I thought that as a country, there has to be more that we can do.
In 2015, Malawi's government had passed a national ban on thin plastics. But several plastic manufacturing companies joined forces, arguing that the ban would cost jobs and hurt the economy, and got a legal injunction to halt it. When the government didn't take action to reinstate the plastics ban, Gloria formed a coalition of activists, NGOs, and farmers to create public pressure toward implementation.
I thought I could be that person. I could bring together people and make sure that that happened. And the first thing that we did was to organize a GoFundMe account that would help us get a lawyer who would stand on our behalf. We brought together the communities that were actually affected and crying out and calling for this ban as well. And we put the stories together and we brought those into the media. And we also organized a huge climate march. It was a lot of fun, but it also made a huge impact because it showed that we were serious, and that scared the hell out of them.
After unrelenting pressure from Gloria's campaign, she and the committed band of communities and activists were rewarded when the High Court ruled to uphold the plastics ban.
We won, and the case was thrown out, and the injunction was lifted, and the ban was back in place, and it was the most amazing thing. We were celebrating and dancing and just really happy about it.
For outstanding environmental achievement for Africa, the 2021 Goldman Environmental Prize is awarded to Gloria Machiga Kamoto, Blantyre, Malawi.
Hi, Mulibwanji. My name is Gloria Machiga, and I'm from Malawi, the warm heart of Africa. I'm also the 2021 Goldman Environmental Prize winner for Africa. Thank you so much, the Goldman Foundation, for recognizing the work that we've done in trying to end the plastic problem. Malawi is not the first country to regulate plastics. Many countries around the world are regulating quantities and types of plastics being produced and used. But we're still drowning in plastic. You and me need to start making these policies a reality. We need to start making different choices, different decisions. We need to start refusing plastics and start reducing our part of the waste. We can do it. With this award, we're going to continue our work on the plastics fight. We're going to engage companies to make sure that they're paying the full price of plastic production, the price on the environment, the price on the economy, and the price on our societies. We've won one battle against plastics, and we know we can win the war together for our planet. Thank you so much.
Bosnia and Herzegovina still bear the scars of war that brutalized the country in the 1990s. But today, the region is better known as a place of beauty and biodiversity, where some of the last undammed rivers in Europe run free.
Jednom riječju opisane plavo srce Evrope.
Simply put, our rivers are the blue heart of Europe, wild, untamable, and incredibly beautiful.
The Krušica River runs through a protected landscape, providing fresh drinking water to nearly 150,000 people. Given its protected status, Maida Bilal was stunned to learn that construction of 2 small hydropower projects was about to begin near her village of Krušica. Small hydropower produces minor amounts of energy, but has a major environmental impact, fragmenting rivers and destroying critical habitat.
There was supposed to be a public debate, but the residents were not even aware that someone had designs to develop our river.
As the excavators arrived to begin construction, Maida and 300 other villagers rushed to the bridge to block the equipment. Day after day, the villagers, mostly women, took turns occupying the bridge. At dawn, 3 weeks after the blockade began, a police SWAT team moved in.
I heard the screams. They forcibly pulled out our hair. They beat us and dragged us off that bridge.
Maida managed to escape, but many of the women were arrested.
When they were finally released, the police asked, "Where are you going?" They all said, "We're going back to the bridge to guard our river."
As video of the assault went viral, attracting global support, Maida stepped into a leadership role.
I did not consider myself a leader. I was but one among equals.
Maida co-founded the Eco Bistro Citizens Association, which supported a lawsuit challenging the legality of the construction permits.
We organized protests outside the court around key moments in the lawsuit to build pressure.
All the while, Maida did her shifts on the bridge, now known as the Bridge of the Brave Women of Krušica.
The blockade became like a living organism. You just know that your heart is leading you there and that you must stay there.
Finally, after 504 days, the regional court canceled all permits for the dams. Maida and the brave women of Krušica had triumphed.
We want politicians in Bosnia and Herzegovina to understand that we are the corrective force. We are the guardians of this land.
For outstanding environmental achievement for Europe, the 2021 Goldman Environmental Prize is awarded to Maida Bilal, Krušica, Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Moje ime je Maida Bilal, živim u selu Krušica u centralnoj Bosni i Hercegovini. Prije 3,5 godine mi, žene Kruščice, svojim tijelima smo odbranile prolazak teških mašina, investitora i zaštitile svoju rijeku od izgradnje 2 mini hidrocentrale. Odrasla sam uz ovu rijeku. Ona mi je djetinjstvo, moji snovi i sva ljepota koju sam za svojih 40 godina proživjela. Ova nagrada nam je podstrek da nastavimo svoju borbu u odbrani ove prelijepe rijeke. Hvala Goldman Prize-u na dodijeljenoj nagradi i povjerenju. Ona će nam samo dati snage više da ovu borbu i dalje nastavimo mi, hrabre žene Kruščice. Sloboda rijekama!
prize winner that you've met today, Sharon, Liz, Ty, Kimiko, Gloria, and Maida, has shown us that true change begins with one brave individual who refuses to sit down in the face of greed and injustice. But don't leave yet. There's more to come from some past recipients of the Goldman Prize. But first, I am thrilled to welcome the one and only Lenny Kravitz.
I wish that I could fly into the sky so very high, just like a dragonfly. I fly above the trees, over the seas, in all degrees, to anywhere I please. Let's go and see the stars, the Milky Way, or even Mars, where it could just be ours. Let's fade into the sun, let your spirit fly, where we are one, just for a little fun. Away.
Hello everyone.
Halo semuanya.
Olá a todos.
Lieve vrienden, Belgium calling.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you.
У нас так багато роботи щодня для того, щоб захистити нашу планету.
There are many people and industries seeking to destroy and pollute our beautiful environment in the name of greed and profit.
There are also so many of us around the world fighting to protect nature, to protect our communities, and to protect one another.
Saya, Indonesia, berjuang untuk melindungi sungai dari polusi plastik dan pencemaran industri.
In my own community, I'm working to hold industrial livestock facilities accountable for their pollution.
Eu estou lutando pelas florestas tropicais e pelas populações que vivem nessa floresta.
Locally, I'm working on air pollution issues, including incineration, fracking, and pollution from industrial sources.
Estamos todavía en procura de mantener este trabajo que le ayuda tanto al planeta.
Sharks are being overfished all over the world. What I'm trying to do is provide the authorities with the scientific information they need so that they can promulgate effective conservation policy.
I am taking action. I am fighting back.
Maar ook jij kan wat doen. In je lokale gemeenschap, in het bedrijf waar je werkt, in jouw school. Je kan gemeenschap vormen.
What are you fighting for?
What are you fighting for?
What are you fighting for?
What are you doing?
Vem com a gente, vem trabalhar nesse momento.
Mari bergabung bersama kami dalam gerakan global melindungi bumi.
Let's join the fight.
All of us have roles to play, large and small, in the crucial task to defend our planet. And there are concrete things that you can do right now. Please visit our website at goldmanprize.org and read more about these environmental champions. Read about their specific calls to action and how you can support them. Share their stories on social media and act. Take action in your own communities to create change. It truly takes all of us. Thank you so much to our special guests tonight. And thanks to all of you for joining us and for being part of our community. Good night.
Thank you.